I have been sitting on huge news that maybe you know and maybe you don't, but I bet you don't. But I'm going to let my guest tonight, Mr. Nicholas Gibbs, he's the one with the news. Nick, what the heck's going on?
Yeah, so Randy, I'm really big on when you say you're going to do something, you do it.
Uh-huh.
And so I also believe in being right a lot and making predictions that will come true. And for anyone who doesn't know, I have my own channel. You can see it down here in the handle. It's or you can follow me on X, Nick Gibbs IAG. But IAG stands for Investing Against the Grain
Oh,
because I
yeah.
invest against the grain. So you can go see on that. But the last video I produced was my prediction videos for 2025,
Hmm.
where I make different calls on the economy, on Tesla stock as a company, as the stock itself, and then also personal
Oh,
goals and predictions for myself for this year.
huh.
And one of them, Randy, was I believe what you're hinting at right now, that we've essentially accomplished more or less already. We're about one third of the way of accomplishing that goal, in that my wife and I are just past our first trimester and welcoming our first child.
Baby
So
number one.
yeah,
Whoa, dude.
so well
Yeah.
on the way to hitting that goal for 2025, which was to grow the family by plus one.
There you go. This is exciting news. And I guess by now you know it is plus one, not plus two or three or whatever.
It's plus one with a very strong heartbeat. We've already seen him. He's moving a lot,
He,
and he,
ah,
he.
yes, I see.
So
Oh, well, cool.
yeah.
Cool beans. Cool beans.
So
This is very exciting news. Well, we'll be
thank you.
looking forward to the baby pictures. Event. I know there's already the ones in utero. They're fine. But I want to see, the real little cute guy when he comes out.
Yeah, he'll be here before the end of the year, before Tesla, does some crazy stuff in the stock market,
It's 1,000.
and it's already doing crazy stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, okay, so today, starting out at least, what I want to do is I want to go through the 4 or 5 elements of the channel. So this channel is based on Tesla stock, Tesla fundamentals, stock market fundamentals, and the fundamentals of the economy. So
In politics.
well, yeah, but that's, yeah, the politics. Yeah. Okay. But the politics impact the economy. So that's why we got off into politics. All right. So let's start with the stock. Obviously, we've had a wild ride already in 2025. Not unusual for Tesla, but I think you might have called it. You and some Governor Walz guy called the bottom.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I will give myself a little shout out here. You guys can go back onto my X post about 2 weeks ago, I guess, where I said this is essentially where I think the market's bottoming. Not just Tesla, but the market as a whole.
Right.
Tesla, I think, would have been a much easier call, but really it was trading with the market. But yeah, well, maybe it wouldn't have been an easier call because all the extra noise with Elon and Doge and all that. But anyways, nevertheless, um, I did put my neck out there saying that I do think this is the week where we bottom. And while things look nice and everyone's comfortable now, I'm telling you, back around like March 10th, 11th, that was not a popular call. In fact, I think like March 11th was like a couple of days after I said that. We kind of started to dip back down. I started getting a lot of comments like, "Oh, I thought you said this was it." But yeah, I think it's good when we're right. It's also good to call out when we're wrong.
Right.
This time we were not wrong, and yeah, I think it's good. I think my what I've been talking about for really again the last 2 weeks on this channel with you, Randy, is that as we get clarity on the tariffs and we get closer and closer to that April 2nd date, that there's going to be a point where people need to make money in the markets. They have they have to perform. They can't sit on the sidelines. there's no fundamental reason why the market was going down that's like bad, right? It's not like anything was broken. It's just uncertainty. VIX shot up. Now we have extreme VIX contraction. I think we're seeing like at a 16 or something around that. So yeah, or 17, excuse me. So yeah, I think we're in a good spot. It was a good call. It was a bold call. I was right, but again, can't get too cocky.
Yes, so I this last night we were up about 6 in the overnight, and then in the morning there was a strong, quite a bit of shares that were traded early that sent it down. But over the day, it recovered almost exactly what it had been the previous night, which I thought was pretty interesting. So now we've had this big run up, almost 30%, I guess almost exactly 30% from the bottom, and 25% in just a few days. Normally, I'd be looking for some kind of a pullback, some kind of profit taking to take place right now. But one of the things I've been wondering is what's the impact of this new money that's coming into Tesla? It might be Republican money that has never ever looked at Tesla before. It might just be people like you and me that decided, you know what, it's time to dig a little deeper.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I picked up a couple hundred shares during this pull down. I bought more leaps more so than picking up shares, but I do agree with you. I do think I see a not pullback's the wrong word. I see things simmering down
Mm.
um, for the rest of the week.
Okay. Simmering down for the rest of the week. Then we get in. Do you think that because almost certainly analysts are going to reduce their number, people that are sitting at 307, sorry, 407, 400, 425, whatever, are probably going to pull their number down before Tuesday, or Wednesday, I guess it is Wednesday. They're probably going to pull it down into the threes. Is that going to cause the stock to go back down, or do you think
Can
it's
you
baked all
can you
that in?
believe that? It's already almost April. That's insane.
April?
The year just started.
I know. I know.
Oh, I know. This time next week, it's April. Wow, that's
Third
wild.
third
Uh,
trimester will go by a lot slower. Do you
uh,
remember? Do you remember your last day in high school?
I
Remember how
do
remember
actually.
how long it took the clock to go around and around?
No, I was actually I was in very in a reminiscent mode.
I see. I see.
Like just, taking in the moment, understanding this would be my last time walking through the hallway. It was same with college, especially since I went to military academy. It's like, yeah, you go through a lot in those 4 years, and just knowing that these are the last days, you kind of just you take everything a little slower, breathe in the air a little deper, and just yeah,
Well,
time's coming to an end.
I'm sure you'll still be on the show in December. You can tell me then how fast or slow or
Oh,
September.
we're not taking breaks off this. I want you. I want to be able to. So, all seriousness, one of the reasons why I even have a YouTube channel, one is to share with other people how I invest against the grain. Which, to me, I think everything we know out there about investing is no different than when people thought um, meat and chicken are bad for you and that you should only eat all processed foods, right? Like when the food pyramid was upside down. I feel like that hasn't been so since then. That's all been fixed, right? Or at least we have knowledge about it. I don't think that's happened with finance. I
Mm,
think I think diversification is the inaccurate food pyramid. That's
yeah,
I could not believe in that even stronger. But so that's why one of the reasons I created my channel was so
mm,
I could talk about investing different ways, going all in into one or two companies
right.
and having true conviction, actually understanding the companies, all that stuff. Anyways, but one of the other reasons was so I could have kind of a catalog for my future kids to be able to see what did dad think, what was he thinking, was he right, was he wrong, and ideally, if one day I go away and they're still around, they could go back and be like, oh man, dad was right about this is a different way of doing things or looking at things. And but anyway, so yeah, no, we got to keep going because I would love for
Right.
my kids to be able to be like, oh man, this is how tired dad was and how like crazy he looked when I was just 2 weeks old. Like, I think that'd be pretty cool.
All right. So do you think, do you
Sorry, long
think,
long tangent.
do you think going into next Wednesday, do you think there will be some pullback of those people who get more and more worried as they see the analysts bringing the number down? And then what happens when the number is only 250 or 270 or something? I'm sorry, 350 or 370.
About to say
Yeah.
easy there. I don't think you're going to see anyone revising their numbers.
Oh,
I think very frequently you actually see this where a lot of people or a lot of analysts, companies, whatever, they don't revise their numbers. You'll see a few do it to your point at the very last minute. Um, but I kind of have a feeling that there's a little bit of a anti-Tesla Elon thing going on here. So I kind of think there's going to be a lot of negative press on Tesla's missed deliveries, and you're going to see these headlines left and right. CNBC, Phil LeBeau. I think that's what's going to happen. So I kind of anticipate. That's one of the reasons why I think we're going to lose steam here, is because I think we're going to have all the BS come out just for it to be a lot about nothing. And then we'll probably have a little bit of a moment where we start to recover going into earnings.
okay. All right. Okay. So, and what do you have a number? Do you have a range of numbers? No.
Nah, I haven't. I haven't even talked about the numbers or even worried about them in maybe a year and a half, because my whole point in if I truly believe that it's all about FSD, then the delivery numbers is irrelevant. They're important to an extent because we still got to pay the bills,
Yeah.
but I don't really care about that. I know they're selling vehicles. I know they're profitable. It's number one selling vehicle in the world. I don't need to worry much more beyond that. I just care about FSD progress. That's it. We don't even talk about that stuff on the earnings call
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. No kidding.
So it's irrelevant to me. It all it is headlines for analysts, and for analysts to be able to put into their Excel sheet that for some reason doesn't include FSD or Optimus.
Yes. Yeah. So I think, I've been saying now for a couple of weeks about to people who question whether this, so you talk about investing against the grain. I'm also one who, you see me do it. Gold's way too high. There's no way it can stay there. It's got to come down. So I'm always looking for the contrarian situation. And one of my contrarian situations is, how in the world do we think that Wall Street is this stupid when Wall Street is investing at 100 PE? So people talk about Wall Street is so dumb, that they're not pouring into Tesla, but Wall Street is buying Tesla at 100 PE. So they're buying Robotaxi and they're buying Optimus at 100 PE right now. There's no way they're buying it based on flat earnings and flat sales, and that's not why they're buying it at that price.
I would say they're not buying Tesla; they're momentum trading Tesla.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that would be the difference.
but there's people, serious players that we know, the Dan Ives and these guys that are, have price targets of 400 and 500 and 600. I know you're not
Right.
a fan of
Yeah.
the analyst, but
Maybe say Ron Barron.
okay,
Ron
Ron
Barron's
Barrett,
is serious.
he's a serious analyst.
But he gets it. He gets it. So so just because I say that these people aren't looking at the right metrics doesn't mean that there aren't individuals out there that are, or companies or firms that are. Of course there is. I would just say it's not the rule. I mean, like, put it this way. You know how you know that, like, this it just like I was sitting there on the couch a couple weeks ago. I'm just looking on X, all these people just keying and damaging Teslas. And it dawned on me, oh my goodness, there are even fewer people out there than I thought who don't know that Teslas drive themselves. And the reason I say that, Randy, and why it was so mind blowing to me, is because I thought most people knew Teslas drive themselves, but they must not, because they don't even know that Teslas have cameras all around. So if you don't even know they have cameras around, how do you even know that they can drive themselves? Like it's crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's insane.
So the insanity, the most insane part, I don't know if I don't think I've talked to you. No, because it was over the weekend. So I went out to a one of the well, not the showroom, it was actually one of the service centers where they were having a protest. And I didn't realize it was grandma and grandpa that were going to be out, older than me as the ones that were, no, not that, but lots of folks my age were the ones out there protesting. And when you look at the people that are keying the cars, it's grandma and grandpa that are keying the cars. So it turns out this is more about Social Security than anything else. Social Security and Medicare is really is what's making them grumpy.
Yeah, but with what? For what? Like, where's your, this is why I'm mad, because XYZ, they don't have that. They just have, he's destroying democracy. He's stealing our money. He's like, it's like, show me. What are you talking about?
Well,
Like,
they're watching MSNBC and they're watching Democratic leaders who are telling them that Elon Musk wants to grab their Social Security check and turn it into a tax cut for billionaires.
I don't know what they're watching, but it's not MSNBC. The data's out. No one's watching MSNBC.
You're a data man. I see. I get it.
I mean, they got spun off, right?
Yeah, or they're going
They're
to.
getting spun off. Everyone's getting fired. Like they're like the whole thing is going away.
All right. So fundamentals, we've talked about the stock. You believe we're going to have a little bit of how did you put it? I said pullback. You used different.
Well, yeah, a pullback would insinuate like 5% in a stock, or like 2 to 3% in an index, right? So I wouldn't call it a pullback. I just think things are gonna just simmer out, and just we're gonna hang out here for a bit. And there's a good chance that we head back down to like a 270, 250-ish, whatever, after we get the jobs number, after we get the delivery numbers. But I do think there's going to be a lot of negativity out of that. Now, there is a whole nother point of view, which I also agree with. So I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth, where the market knows this. The market knows that they're going to have weak deliveries.
Right.
Right. It already knows this. The question is, how much of that is priced in, and what does the market think missed deliveries means?
Yes.
Does that mean 390,000, or does that mean 330,000? Those are two really different numbers. So the market doesn't know the answer to that. And so I would say there's a certain amount that's priced into this,
Right.
but there's also a certain amount that's not.
Yes.
So I think that's the other part where we'll keep things simmering along, and then, we'll see what happens next week, but it's going to get interesting.
Okay.
What do you think's going to happen?
Oh, I'm pretty much aligned with you. I think that there's a good chance there'll be a sell-off after the numbers, unless they're surprising. I think anything over 400,000 would be surprising, and that would be, a good, it would not have a sell-off, I think, if they beat 400. The other thing is if the energy numbers are surprising, that could also pad the problem. 14 would not be surprising, 17 would be, and 17 I think is doable. So that's a possibility.
I would also say, what was I going to say? I think, I know everybody wants it to go up. I know everyone wants all-time highs. I get that. But it would be very healthy not to see that. It'd be really healthy to see us kind of escalate our way up rather than elevate our way up. And I think that would be much more, I don't know, a lot more longevity there. But even as I'm looking at this, like, I hate to say this, but you would almost want it to go down to like 249 before going back up, just because there's like, if you believe in this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
there's a gap there
Mm-hmm.
in the daily trend or daily tickers. And so you can see a gap there. And a lot of technicians believe that gaps must be filled and they eventually will be filled. And I would say a lot of times it might be 4 months from now, but gaps tend to get filled. So you'd rather see that fill happen now than later.
Yeah, so
So,
I think you and I have talked about this before. My theory, and we'll talk about the fundamentals of the economy next. My theory about the economy is that we will have the VIX will be back down to 12 by the end of May, maybe by the middle of May, but that most of all of this confusion will be out of the market by that time. We will have had a couple of inflation numbers that will be surprisingly good. We will have a very fast turnaround in the confidence numbers. So they went way up after the election. They went way down with all the headlines about tariffs, which are overblown. There was a new study out today, another survey today. Only 15% of American corporations are planning to raise their prices based on tariffs. I mean, it's just a nothing burger, but it's a big deal in terms of headlines. And so small businesses and even larger businesses and people that don't know anything about tariffs, they're scared. So I think that all goes away very rapidly. I think we end up having a calm by the end of May. And so that the market and Tesla will both be on a tear.
yeah, I kind of agree. But more so, yeah. And I think that's what the move you see right now is happening. It's not because Trump's going to be lighter on tariffs. I know that's what everyone was trying to say. I think it just has to do with that we're getting closer to that April 2nd date. And come April 2nd, I think we'll have 70% clarity, meaning we'll know what reciprocal tariffs are going to be put on. And then the remaining 30% there is it's probably going to take all of April for certain negotiations that will happen. Be like, oh, okay, you're not bluffing. All right, well, here's what we're going to do. No, we're not going to do that. Okay, we're going to yell and press conferences, whatever. The U.S. is bad. All this only to okay, fine. We'll compromise here, and I think 30% of all the tariffs will be like that, but we'll have a lot more certainty. And yeah, to your point, come May, I think we're on to other topics. We won't even be talking about tariffs anymore.
Yeah, and so then the next question becomes, what happens to the economy? So did you or were you fortunate enough to be able to watch a lot of the interviews last week with like Besant and
Oh yeah,
I mean, I've said this multiple times, but I want to say it with you as well because I'm curious about your response. I am super impressed with these cabinet members, unbelievably impressed with them. But the other thing was their commentary about Trump has made me more impressed with Trump.
yeah. I'll say those are the two best interviews the All In podcast has done. I will also say Jason's commentary on the full All In podcast about it. He just sounded like an idiot. Um, it's so funny to see him he's just in his feelings. I'm embarrassed for him when I see this. Like, yeah, I don't know. But those are the two best interviews I've seen. I mean, we have real people who are living in reality and not the theoretical world of how the markets work, and it's definitely refreshing. I mean, I just remember when Janet Besson said it was so clear because I remember this. I was literally posting on X like how stupid this is that Janet Yellen's like doing the exact. Janet Yellen was literally buying high and selling low with our treasuries. Like it was just the most insane thing. And you're sitting there looking at it, it's like, okay, well, maybe she knows something that we don't, and we know that the Fed's going to cut rates aggressively, and so it's all going to make sense at the end. Nope, not
Yeah,
at all.
yeah,
Said
yeah.
here we are. I think something like 9 trillion that we have to refinance
In six
at
months. I mean,
6% or something like that. Yeah, unless things change. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. So that's and that it'll be interesting to see how Besant does play it. You know exactly how he works that through. And of course, my optimism. I want the Doge cuts to impact the treasuries just enough where he doesn't have to sell as many as he projected. I don't care how many less, but whatever his number is that he's putting out now, and he goes, okay, we're going to reduce that number in the next sale. That would be a signal. Holy mackerel.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're going through choppy waters right now, uncertainty, as people say. But I genuinely think, barring any black swan event like COVID was, or a 9/11, or a financial crisis, anything that's, just we don't see, if we could just have what we have right now for the next 4 years, it's not all going to be uncertain the way it is right now, but we're talking about austerity, proper negotiating, not letting countries take advantage of us when it comes to tariffs, making sure that we have peace in the world, reducing the supply of money, like investing in our country, deregulating. If we got 4 solid years of that, it's going to, this is the time to invest. So many people are going to make generational wealth over the next 4 years if you can do that.
And then
And rates coming down. I mean,
I was going
just,
to say, and Mr. Oil Man, you didn't mention energy, drill, baby, drill.
well, that's a mixed bag.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's a mixed bag because that depends on where you sit.
Well, I've always believed. In fact, I wrote a paper on this back in I think college. I know it was college. I don't think it was high school. Where to me, the amount of energy that a country produces is directly relevant to the amount of GDP that it does. I mean, it's just like it's correlation
Yeah.
and causation both. It's correlated and it's caused by. So the
But
more,
I guess
yeah, go ahead.
what I'm saying is if you if you're Exxon, Shell, BP,
Yeah,
you want high oil prices, not low.
of course you do. Yes.
And if you work in that industry, you want high oil prices, not low. And if you're investing into those companies, so that's what I'm saying. It just depends where you
Yeah.
sit.
Oh, yeah.
As someone who used to work in the oil industry, look, I know it sucks for everybody else, but we loved $120 barrel oil. We loved it.
Of course. Of course.
The bonuses were fat, the salaries were fat. It was good times.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, of course, if you can get it's not just going to be oil. It's going to be natural gas. It's going to be solar. It's going to be nuclear. So it's going to be coming from a lot of different directions. And ultimately, I think you agree. I'm a big Tony Seba fan. At some point, it's going to be too cheap to meter. And so I'm sorry, oil companies, you'll still make money because obviously we're still going to need oil. Although Elon Musk saying the other day, 90% of all energy at some point in the future will be solar and batteries. I thought that was an interesting statement.
Yeah, I think that's beyond obvious at this point. It's not how or will they, or it's just a matter of when. Like it's just really it's just a matter of production. Once you have enough batteries, once you have enough solar panels, like we already have ways to transmit electricity. It you look at a company like Duke Energy.
Mhm.
They are heavily pursuing solar. Heavily, they have solar farms everywhere. I mean, you. Oh no, Larry's in Carolinas.
Yeah.
Larry definitely knows. He can go see it. They're everywhere, and there's a reason for that,
Yeah.
right? Because it's better for their margins. They can
Australia,
literally essentially get
Australia
some
and
of this for
China.
free.
Look at Australia and China. Holy mackerel. They're
Yeah.
going crazy with the solar. Yeah. All right. So fundamentals, you think, what about manufacturing coming on shore? Larry last night was not as optimistic as me, but maybe it was just timing he was concerned about. I was thinking that the manufacturing, this onshoring could happen maybe sooner than he thought it could happen. But are you excited about trying to onshore some of these things that maybe we're not as good at making as some other countries?
Yeah, it's so here's a problem. I don't know what Larry's point was. I'm sure he had a very
Wise.
sound point of view on it. Yeah, wise. Wise for a old man.
Well, you're going to pay
I
for
can
that.
say that.
You're going to pay for that.
He came to my town. He didn't even visit me.
Oh, what?
So yeah. Um, but to me, the excitement with manufacturing, like it's good that we see all these announcements happening. My fear is that if we don't get, another Trump-like administration, so like say JD or like Vivek or someone to carry it through, I don't think 4 years is enough
Mhm.
to actually see it through.
Right.
I mean, just look at what happened with the Keystone Pipeline,
Yeah.
right? That became such a political hot potato. It's like start, cancel, start, cancel, start. Is like you really it doesn't. It takes all of the excitement out of it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, jobs, good. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, everything needs to be safe, but just because something could be unsafe doesn't mean we don't do it.
Yeah.
It means we just figure out how to make it safe and how we make sure we don't have spills or whatever. Um, but that's all. I think it's hard to get really excited when you don't know what the next administration is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of that, the other thing Larry and I talked about, and both of you are experts way more than I am in this field. Do you think that Besant, I think it was Besant that said it, you think we can get the government into the 21st century in terms of their hardware and software in 3.5 years, like he suggested?
Yes and no. I think if you have Elon or someone who's like Elon, yes. Doesn't have to be Elon, but someone like him, yes. If it's not through some kind of mechanism like that, then I don't think so. Like maybe if Bezos came out and was like, okay, hey, Elon's doing Doge, I'm gonna help with this. Like I could believe it.
Mhm.
Like someone like Bezos, right? Because he's a hard operator as well. He knows how to cut through the noise.
Right.
Um, but you just need someone like that who understands software, understands system processes, flows, people.
Right. Right.
I don't know how you do it without that.
Yeah. Well, I would agree. I think that there's every reason to believe that there are people within the government that will try to slow it down and try to keep it from happening, or just because they don't know what they're doing, will
Yeah,
inadvertently slow it down. But
I think a lot of it's that, like a lot of this, like fraud or waste or whatever they're finding. Besides some that, like I think you and I just would think it's a waste of money, but I think a lot of it is cloaked in either ignorance or just good intentions, where it's like, oh, well, we want to do this. Okay, great. Well, maybe we should hire this person to do that. Okay. And then that person, like, oh, yeah, okay, we can bring in this consultant to help us deliver this for you. And it's like, it just becomes this never ending game of, third parties that
Mhm.
are involved. But the intention was good. The intention was, oh, I want to get the best so I could do a great job and so that we can make sure that we succeed. But no one's ever thinking about, well, how much budget do we have for this?
Yeah.
It's
Or how much is this how much is this going to interfere with my home life? Am I going to be able to go home at 4 o'clock?
yeah,
There's always that part too.
yeah.
Well, okay. So with a little luck, we end up cutting the overall cost of government by a lot. So I think we talked about this before. So Elon's looking for 1 trillion. Maybe we can raise another 100 billion in tariffs, you think? More than 100 billion. Okay.
I think you probably do like 300 to 400, 500. I'd say 500 billion.
500 billion per year in tariffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
haven't.
but that's a mix of two though. That's a mix of us taking in
Okay.
plus other countries cutting for net neutral
I see.
trade.
Okay, all right. But what about I'm looking at revenue for the U.S. government.
That's hard to say because it's all going to depend on if India says, "Hey, U.S., we'll have zero tariffs on you," then we're going to have zero tariffs on them. Like, how many countries are going to do? We don't know. So it's really hard to say.
Yeah, I think I wonder if they do have a goal. I wonder if Besant has a goal in terms of how much tariffs. But we have a reduction in the overall cost of government, maybe some external tax income additional. Interest rates go down, so we save some money on that side of it. Um, no cuts in Social Security in terms of the benefits, our Medicare, Medicaid in terms of benefits, but cuts in terms of fraud, which some people think is a lot. So that could be over and above the trillion. So do we get to a balanced budget? Because Besant is only looking at getting to 3% of GDP by the end of the term.
I think without a doubt, by the end of Trump's term, we'll have a balanced budget.
Nice.
And in my opinion, or once that happens, there should be a huge movement to have Congress codify into law that you cannot run a deficit.
Outside of war.
Sure, outside of war.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think
But even then,
famous balanced budget amendment.
even then, it should be like outside of war, as long as we decide very clearly and definitively what success is in this war.
Yeah,
Because
right.
otherwise, you have never-ending wars.
A success and an exit plan. What? You want that?
Yeah.
What
Exactly.
are you even talking about?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that'd be a whole new way for America to run wars. Oh yeah, we used to do it that way. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Really? Iraq wasn't that long ago. Actually, Afghanistan wasn't that long ago either. We're always in war.
No, I'm talking about one that had success as an option and an exit plan.
Oh, you're talking about the Gulf War.
What the Gulf
The
War?
three-day war.
Right. That was the last time we did it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see what the market has done today because it was a good day overall. It didn't
It
start
was
out
a
that.
good 2 days.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So we first of
I,
all we got Tesla up 3.5. Oh, I wanted to ask you, what do you think about these big large influxes of money that we've seen, or share purchases, like we at the beginning of the session yesterday, big uptick at the beginning, big uptick, I mean downtick at the beginning today, and then another big uptick at the end today.
I don't know. I know there's a lot of people speculating about buybacks.
Oh, really? You think
Well,
that?
not a lot. Actually, I'll give credit. Yashu was talking about today.
Ah,
Um, I will say, if it comes true, I did put a post about 2 weeks ago
I know.
as well that we should be considering buybacks here. Um,
Has
but
has anybody ever done that? Has any company ever played their own stock?
I mean,
I mean, played the stock. I mean, literally done it with the intention of making money.
you could argue. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I would say
We talked
yes.
about
I
it
mean,
last week, right? I don't think anybody's ever done. I can't think of
well,
it.
I think all these buybacks are that.
Well, I'm just talking about, but with the intention of reselling it at some point.
Well, I don't think the intention would be for Tesla to resell it.
I see, just a buyback. Because there's people that, I think it was AJ, who was it today? It was saying, gee, if they'd taken my advice 2 weeks ago, they could have made $2 billion in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, Bradford?
Oh, it was Bradford. Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, he said that after I said it.
Okay. All right. Well,
Just saying. Check the receipts. Nah, I'm messing. But yeah, I don't know. I think anytime these companies announce buybacks, it's for one of two reasons. Either one, in like an Apple scenario, they just don't know what else to do with the money, and they don't know where to put it to good use. But then you can also see companies like Nvidia, and I think Nvidia is pretty bullish on Nvidia.
Yeah.
It's not like they have Apple kind of money sitting around where like, what do we do with this? No. They're like, okay, we see where this is going. Competition's years behind us, and we know what we have in our pipeline. Yeah, let's buy back our stock.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So Tesla up 3.5%. Dow was finished up. I would call that unchanged, 0.01%. NASDAQ up 0.46, S&P up 0.16. So all, markets did fairly well today. The Magnificent Seven did better, except for NVIDIA, which was down another 0.59 today, which it's beginning to become impossible. I'm glad I'm not in NVIDIA. I cannot predict which way it's going to go. It's always doing the opposite of what I think it's going to do.
No one can predict any of these.
Oh, well, you know what I mean.
What's Tesla gonna do tomorrow? Up or down?
Well, no, I
It's
can't predict.
easy.
Huh?
Zeros and ones. That's all you gotta do.
Is it
I'm not even telling you where it's gonna go.
tomorrow? I would say it's gonna. I think we're gonna trim it tomorrow.
Okay.
I think it's going to trim tomorrow. But I would look at I can look at Tesla and I can go, okay, it's had this nice run. I can look at some of the ceilings and some of the floors. I don't do all the analysis you do, and I can say, I think tomorrow is probably going to be a down day. I could be wrong, but I look at Nvidia and I go, what? It's like, what do you mean it? What? Anyway, um, Kathy
Well,
Woods, Kathy Woods,
we're gonna remember this.
yeah, you'll remember this.
Yeah, I'll remember. And then next week I'll be like, "Hey, Randy, you're right or wrong," and then we'll know.
Okay, all right.
Well, do you fade Randy's Tesla predictions or do you get behind them?
I don't know because right now the only one that matters is my prediction for the end of May. All time
Oh,
high.
wait, wait, wait.
All time high.
All-time high. NMA?
Right.
Randy, let's go.
Let's go. And 700 plus plus for the end of the year.
Randy, I'm gonna come across that screen and kiss you if we get that. I'm joking.
Okay, let's go. No, I don't think I was happy with the bonds today, but let's go see if I'm right or wrong in the pre-market. So the bonds, oh yeah, this is just, oh no, that's the Dow future. Never mind. Bonds. Oh, you know what? You know what's funny? It's exactly the same. The 10-year is up 1.9 basis point and the Dow is up 19. That's why I started to say
Oh
that's
wow.
funny.
Sorry, just real quick. So I go into CNBC just so I could go look at the bonds.
Yeah.
First thing I see, big article here. Chinese EV giant BYD outpaces Tesla with annual sales of more than 100 billion.
Yes. By a fraction. By a fraction. And they sell so many batteries and so many what do you call them? Buses and all kinds of things. But it doesn't matter. I could care less. Quite frankly, I don't care how much BYD sells. Good for them. So I really could care about competition.
It's just hilarious. It's like
Yeah,
is it like the support of the Chinese company over our own company.
right.
Like I don't mind if you're just like reporting the news, but the way they're talking about it is like it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. You're right. I hadn't thought of it.
God forbid we celebrate our companies.
Yeah, I don't know. You like some governor from Minnesota or some state.
Hey,
Okay,
I
so
like him. We all like him.
he's great.
He's putting Kramer out of business. We like him.
Yeah, he did a great job. Okay,
Keep talking about Tesla. Go for it.
we got the 10-year up 1.9 basis points to 4.327. Not what I want to see. The
Yeah,
2-year up point
the
2
te-
point. What? Go ahead.
the 10-year hasn't moved much, huh?
Well, it went down all the way to 4.11 in
Yeah,
like a week and a half ago.
yeah, but it's been kind of in the stagnant
Oh
range for
yeah,
a while now.
yeah, it's been stagnant, all right. It's just driving me nuts. Whoa, whoa, what about this one? That can't be right. Senator McConnell is retiring. Going to try to retire before he dies? Just,
Oh,
oh, here.
hmm.
Let me get back to business here. Um,
Keep it appropriate,
keep
Randy.
it appropriate. Oil up 0.29, 6929. So what do you think? We've got an awful lot of things roiling the oil market now. How long does it take to tamp down all this roiling?
I mean, I really don't think we're gonna see like the lowest I think we'll see is like high 50s.
Good.
But
Good number. I like that number.
but I think this is the range we're going to see. Like I don't
59 to 69?
70, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think this is the new normal.
Okay. Natural gas, however, is under $4 now. It's up a little bit in the pre-market, but it's at $3.88. So what about the natural gas thing? It seems to me to almost be in the future, at least for the next 10 years, might end up being more important than oil for a while at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're about to install a new natural gas generator.
Mhm.
And then when we do that, we'll convert our fireplace to a natural gas fireplace.
Mhm.
And then we'll convert the pool to a natural gas heater. So, I mean, yeah, natural gas, it's just so affordable.
Yeah. 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 I think it could end up, I think as we transition towards that time when it's all solar, I think oil goes down, but natural gas maybe goes up before that
Yeah.
happens. Gold, 3,025, kind of sitting still for the last couple of days. Not a lot of movement. Silver also 34.23, kind of sitting there. Here's the one Larry keeps asking me. Keeps saying, "How come copper is at $5.23, an all-time high?" And I said, "Hey, it's all these data centers. What do you think?"
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mix of a lot of things, but yeah, I'm sure that's a big part of it.
Okay, because none of the other commodities are going crazy like copper is. I mean, oil and gold. I mean, I'm sorry, gold and silver, but those are precious metals. So, and silver is what? The in-between product that's kind of a commodity and kind of a precious metal. Okay. All
I see
right.
what you're saying.
Okay. Crypto. I'm sorry, Bitcoin, 87,463. So, um, is Bitcoin going to catch fire or not? Oh, you said it's following Tesla. Whatever Tesla does.
Or is Tesla following it? Yeah, so yeah, it's a good question. So let me see. Um, yeah, it's identical. I mean, identical. I don't know. It's hard to say, but there's a lot of calls for Bitcoin or a lot of predictions. Oh, actually, oof, I think Bitcoin's about to sell off a little bit here.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Back to 79.
Uh, Here. Are you letting me share? Nope.
Sure. Oh,
Yeah, I'll just show you what I'm looking at.
okay. Go.
Okay. So what I'm going to do here, everybody, is I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully it's big on your end.
That looks good.
Okay, cool. So this is Bitcoin, right? So this is what it looks like. And these charts you see here, these are just like the Fibonacci retracements.
Okay.
But the reason I was like, oh, I'm not sure, but I'm like, oh, interesting, is down here. So this is what's called the MACD. And long story short, it's essentially just looking at flows of buyers and sellers and what's happening, what the momentum is.
Okay.
And what you can see here, this is on a 4 hour. So each one of these tickers are a 4 hour bunch.
Okay.
And you can see right now, this shorter time frame is about to cross over that longer time frame. And we're getting ready to go down into the red, which insinuates we're going to sell off's the wrong word, but it means we're probably going to dip for a little bit.
Okay.
So it's just interesting to see that. Conversely, if I look at Tesla, the same thing, you'll see that it's not quite about to go into the red.
Let's see.
But you can see that Tesla's definitely overbought up here.
Let's see.
So again, I'm not a technician. I don't really look at this stuff in like to make decisions.
Right.
I just look at it for what's called market awareness.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's interesting to watch.
Okay.
So
All right. And the equities for tomorrow are for tonight, predicting sort of, maybe occasionally tomorrow. The Dow up 23 or 0.05, S&P up 725 or 0.12%, and the NASDAQ up 40.75 or 0.20. And that is what we're looking at for tomorrow. And what did I say about Tesla? Tesla down 0.31%. So just a little tiny fallback from the high from today. And it did close on that.
Yeah. So, yeah, interesting. So, it looks like if I said /ES, does that mean anything to you?
Oh.
Okay, so there's when it comes to futures, there's futures in commodities as a bucket. There's futures in currencies as a bucket. Well, there's also futures in indexes.
Okay.
So / indicates futures.
Mhm.
ES is for the S&P mini. So essentially, it's a miniature version of the S&P 500. Anyways, the ES contracts, right, and the futures trade 23/6, meaning they trade 23 hours a day. They close from 5 to 6 p.m. and then they're open. And then they close Friday evening and they open up again Sunday at 6 p.m. So you can trade all day nonstop if you want with the futures. But so right now, the S&P 500 futures are showing, a little bit of a pop, but things have definitely tamed out. So I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow is a much more of a modest day. But again, it's only 8 p.m. today, going tomorrow. But the ES futures are interesting to watch and follow for that.
Well, we have PCE on Friday, and with the eggs dropping in half over the last 30 days, somebody said today that that could be as much as 5 basis points on the CPI. So it would impact the PCE. It'd be interesting to see how much of an impact eggs end up having on the PCE this Friday.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that's going to be a big needle mover, or do you think PCE is going to more so reflect CPI, meaning like it's going to be a slight improvement, but nothing crazy? What's your take?
Yeah, so we already had a nice improvement in the CPI and PPI. So
By the way, by the way, again, sorry, I have to because we only talk once a week. A couple weeks ago, before CPI came out, you and I were on, and I told you I thought it was going to come slightly cooler, and it came in slightly cooler.
cool.
And you were supposed to put a post about it.
Oh,
Didn't. I told you when I'm right about this, Randy, you're going to go put a post, and you
well,
never did.
You'll have to remind me because I'm old.
No, I'm kidding. But what's your take on PCE coming up?
No, I think it should be good. And again, with the eggs coming down since then dramatically, that should be in the number. Now there's a bunch of other stuff that's in that number that sometimes can throw things off. But overall, no, it should be a good print.
Gotcha. Yeah, and don't forget tomorrow we have durable goods.
Durable goods tomorrow. Yeah. Lots of stuff coming up in the next couple of days.
But I don't think people really look at durable goods anymore. Or
Well,
it's not a needle mover.
Well, not right now because it's so horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that's moving in durable goods is sometimes airplanes and cars, but refrigerators and bicycles, not so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not selling. Now they're gonna come back. I keep saying they're gonna come back. I thought they would come back this spring, but maybe it's gonna take until summer or fall before we really start to see them come back. All right. Well, there you go. I think we've covered it all. Listen, I want to give a big shout out to my next show at 7:45. You do not want to miss this show. Gary Black is going to be on, and Gary Black and I have a phenomenal discussion about robotaxi. We have a phenomenal discussion about Optimus. And we really, really get into some gnarly, it's a little debate style, but it's not negative. I think it ends up extremely positive. So I want you to watch that at 7:45. And then other than that, anything you have for the good of the class here at the end?
Yeah, stay humble. Don't go out there and get crazy with your investing, and keep an eye out to the future, because I really do think that we are living within the golden era right now. I do think we're in the roaring 20s right now, and they just started on November 5th, and it's going to get bananas if what I think is going to happen happens.
Yeah, we couldn't be more aligned on that if we tried. Thank you, as always, Nicholas Gibbs, future daddy, and to all of you out there. It's been great talking to you.